How's everybody going today? Hope everything's well with everyone. This is Phil, the Kaiju King, from my collection room in Greater Cincinnati. And in this video, I'm going to do a double review of two X Plus figures I've had for a minute in my collection. And it is time for some Gamera love, as you could see in my introduction. I'll be doing the X Plus 30cm Gamera 1967. It's the standard edition. And the Gyaos 1967 30cm, also the standard edition. They're two really excellent figures. And I will bring Gyaos forth first, because he was first seen in the film. And then we'll do Gamera. And I will bring Gyaos board right now. Alright, I'm back. And here is Gyaos 1967 from the film Gamera versus Gyaos. A lot of good movies came out this year, in my opinion. This movie, Godzilla, Son of Godzilla, came out, which that's a love or hate movie with a lot of people, but I tend to love that movie. I may do a redo video, because I did a 1967 Godzilla video in my earlier archives of my channel, but I was having audio issues then, so I may go back and redo that one pretty soon here. But this movie is a great movie. It's probably this and Gamera versus Baragon are probably my two favorite of the Showa era by far, in my opinion, as far as the Gamera Showa era is concerned. But Gyaos is a very vicious enemy. He is a flyer, but he also did a lot of wing walking. His wings fold here in the movie, on this crease right above, right by his fingers, right below his fingers. They could fold, and he would walk around on all fours, with this being the point of contact with the ground, his fingers. And he was a very vicious creature. Came out of a mountain, and what was scary about him, I'm sure back then, is he was deliberately eating people. A lot of people say that this is a bat-like kaiju, and I agree with that statement. He is looks like a bat, similar to a bat. Drinks human blood, loves human blood. I mean, like, that's like a vampire bat. So in a lot of ways, it is very true that he is a vampire type, or a bat type kaiju. But to me, he's like a vampire bat type kaiju, because he is obsessed with eating humans and their blood. So it's pretty crazy concept for a big monstrous kaiju back in that day, I think. But they did a good job with his design. Is pretty cool and everything. And in the film, it was really, they had a hard time trying to figure out how to defeat him until Gamera, in my opinion, Gamera showed him the way. That he did not like the sun. He was holding him in the one scene in the water, and his head started turning red, and they figured out that was indicating that he was in pain. And they realized at the same time the sun was rising, and they figured out that they had to keep him in sunlight and to try to kill him off. And ultimately, at the end, Gamera ended up dragging him into the volcano and killed him in the volcano. So really, they never did quite get the sun project off the ground. It was close there at the end. They was trying to trick Gyaos and make him dizzy, so his equilibrium was all messed up when they was trying to feed him the fake blood, and they was spinning him on the top of the building. But then that mechanism failed, because it said in the movie that he weighed 25 tons, and I'm sure that just his weight capacity was, it couldn't, that mechanism couldn't hold his weight. So it was pretty wild. But it ended up that Gamera beat him by just dragging him in, and the sun had weakened him enough, it was rising, and he flew over to the top of the volcano and then grabbed him right here by the shoulder and drug him into the volcano, and that was the end of Gyaos. But Gyaos has been a recurring villain in all through the Gamera movies. I think he was in at least one more Showa era movie, I think. At least one, correct me if I'm wrong. And then he was in the Heisei as well. So he was probably the most recurring villain, and he's Gamera's arch enemy through all the Gamera series. So as far as this figure goes, The tail is round, blunt, pretty blunt round tail, and it has a big fin sticks up off of it, just like in the film. Very nicely done. The back of his wings have nice texturing on either side. Nice wrinkle indications in the vinyl, in the mold of the vinyl here. That was very nicely done. There's points at the ends of the bottom of the wings, just like in the movie, if you watch the film. There's a strip on the middle of his, also on the wings, pardon me. There are two, I call them rust-colored stripes on the middle part of the wings on both sides, inner and outer sides. They're like, to me it looks rust-colored, almost a darkish reddish orangish color. Looks like rust, really. But it's really nicely done. That's also in the film on the suit. Then he has a big strip on his back here. Looks like some kind of armored, texturing of his skin, and that is prevalent on the suit and on this figure, which is really nicely done. On his toenails and his finger claws on his wings, they are really good. His toes are three-toed, just like in the film, and he has really long toes, really long feet, just like in the film. And the toenails and the finger claws are a bone white. Nicely done. And on the back of his heels, he has a claw on either heel, and it's about the same color as the toenails. Pretty cool. He's got nice skin texture in the legs and in the chest. Nice definition with the skin textures. X Plus did a good job on this thing. Of course, the inner wings here are the same deal. It's nice details. Like I said, the rust color is there, prevalent in the middle of the wings on both sides. Out on the tips of his wings, he does have the little spikes, little horns / spikes. Really cool, nicely done figure. His head is reared back in roaring mode. Of course, his head, if you look at it from above, is kind of a goofy triangular shape type deal with a U shape at the end of his head. But the texture on top of the head, I watched the movie and I noticed that looks very similar to the texture of the figure here. So they copied. It looks like the texturing's the same. I mean, I was looking at the body and stuff, and the texturing and the wing scaling and the skin texture. It all looks very similar to the suit. His eyes are nice and wide open, and they've got a red on the bottom eyelash. There's like a red stripe on both sides, and that is prevalent on the suit in the movie. His eyes are dark reddish brown on the inner and orange on the outer, and his pupil is like a yellowish color. I noticed it changed colors a lot. His eyes in the movie, they would be white and it would be this color. He would, I'm guessing it depended if he was mad or not, but his eyes were sometimes white and then sometimes yellowish reddish colors. The Rick, this is the standard. The Rick on this figure was the light up. I think it had a light up eyes. Maybe a light up on top of his head to indicate the red when he was in pain. But this is a really nicely done figure. They did a really good job on this Gyaos. I will bring forward Gamera now, and we'll take a quick look at him, and I'll be right back. Alright everybody, I'm back. Here's the X Plus Gamera 30cm 1967 Gamera from X Plus. I got this 2 years ago at G-Fest, and the Gyaos I got after that, like early last year, maybe 18, late 2017 or early 18. I've had it for a while. I think I got it off eBay, so I paid at least $350 for it, I think, if I remember right around $350 probably, because it's out of production. This Gamera is very nicely done and very suit accurate to the suit, in my opinion. His tail, the Showa Gamera, all their tails are thinner but longer. The Heisei Gameras, their tail is more fatter and thicker but more blunt, not as long. But it's nice textures on the tail. Nice skin textures, nice, very nicely done, I think. Very nice details on the tail. There's that little ridge running on his tail, like a mini spike row almost. His shell was very, very detailed in my opinion. All the individual little spikes sticking up on his shell, like in the movie when he first fight with Gyaos, he saves the little boy from Gyaos, and the little boy gets on his back and he's holding on to one of these spikes protruding up off of his shell, and these spikes are really very well done on his back. The definition of them and the detail on his whole shell, I think, is really impressive. On his feet, he has 5 toes on each foot, like in the film. I tried to make sure I watched the movie and recollected that, but that is the way he is in the film. And his feet are nice and big. And his hands are 4 or 5 claws as well. Almost it's like he has a thumb and 4 fingers, like a human being almost. But the toenails and the claw nails are the bone white. And his skin texturing is really nicely done on his legs and on, you can see on his tail and on his legs, nice wrinkles, suit indications in my opinion of what the suit was like when the actor was wearing it. Nice wrinkles on his arm as well, his arms, nice definition. Now the bottom of his stomach is very accurate and nicely done. It's I call it the checkerboard Gamera stomach, because that's exactly what his stomach looked like in the Showa era. It's perfectly checkerboarded, and they did a nice job of replicating that on this figure. As far as Gamera's head, nice definition on the face and stuff, nice wrinkling, nice definition in his neck area as well, showing the suit wrinkling and suit particulars. Both sides of his face. He has a little row of fins that start about his eyebrow, his eye level, and goes back down his neck. That is on the suit in the movie. And his eyes, if you look at his eyes, they are bloodshot. And in the movie, on the close-up, like when he saves the little boy, they show his eyes close up, and his eyes are bloodshot. And on this figure, if you look, he has bloodshot eyes. It's crazy, but that detail is there, and that's pretty awesome that it's there. Gamera, his mouth definition and his teeth definition are very nicely done. Individually sculpted teeth, individually sculpted tongue. Of course, he's got the big signature Gamera fangs, and they are all light brownish color, almost, not exactly white. The teeth are, which in some scenes in the movie it seemed like his teeth were darker, and in some scenes, like when he saved the little boy, his teeth looked really white. So, but I think the definition and detail in the mouth is really nicely done with the teeth and the tongue. Now Gyaos, on the other hand, his mouth is not, to me, is not as detailed as Gamera's. His tongue is actually just molded into the bottom jaw. It's not individually sculpted like Gamera's is. So Gyaos, his mouth isn't as detailed. His teeth are nicely done though, pretty nice. I think they're not as white as the suit though in the movie. They showed some close-ups of his mouth in the film, and his mouth, his teeth in his mouth were really super white, and these are just kind of a dull white. So, but it's pretty good. Can't complain on it. Out of these two, I think the more accurate is Gamera. If I had to say which one is more accurate to the suit in the movies, I'd say Gamera for sure. But they look really good together too. I think they look great together. Perfect set to have if you don't have these. It's perfect that if you're a Gamera fan, perfect set to own, by the way. Very cool. Alright, I will do some size comparisons now with these guys, with some Godzilla and other stuff, and we'll move on to my size comparisons right now. Alright everybody, I'm back. I, of course, brought forth Toho's 1967 Creature Godzilla 1967. This is the X Plus 30 centimeter figure, one of the tallest 30 centimeter figures X Plus has ever done too. That 67 is absolutely huge, and it's a nicely done figure too. I really do want to go back and readdress my 1967 Godzilla collection, and I think I am going to do that pretty soon here. But it's a really good figure, and I figured it'd be apropos to bring forth the 1967 Godzilla with these 1967 Gamera figures, with Gamera and Gyaos 67 and Godzilla 67. Looks pretty good. Alright, let's do another size comparison right now. Alright everybody, I'm back. I brought forth my Yuji Sakai X Plus Godzilla 1989 Rick, or not the Rick, Standard Edition, open mouth. They also released this, I think it was the exact same sculpt, but it had a closed mouth. I probably wouldn't mind having that someday, but I'm good with the open mouth right now. I love this Sakai. It's just this pose, I think, is what it really draws me to this Sakai every time. He has a really cool pose, and I think it's pretty accurate. I know some people don't like it, but I think they prefer the closed mouth one more, but this one's pretty cool. I always did like it. But they look good with this guy. Of course, the Sakais are smaller in general, so, but they still size up well with this version of the Heisei Godzilla. Alright, let's move on to another size comparison right away. Alright everybody, I'm back. Now I have the Godzilla 30 centimeter 2004 The Final Wars Godzilla here with my 67 Gyaos and 67 Gamera. Look pretty cool. We need some more Final Wars figures from that movie. Everybody, I think, would really like to see the Anguirus from the film. There's a lot of kaiju in the movie, so about all of them really, but I think Anguirus is a favorite to have from this film. The Final Wars Anguirus. Probably be a big seller, I would think. Alright, we'll do one final size comparison right now. Alright everybody, I've brought forth my 30 centimeter Gamera 1999. This is the CCP version, CCP brand of Gamera 99. It's a really good, highly detailed, I think, version of Gamera 99. He's a leaner. The Showa Gameras were really definite leaners forward leaning compared to the Showa era. This depicts the Showa era really well, in my opinion, the 67, because he was more of an upright when he walked on 2 feet. He was definitely more upright than the Heisei era, my bad. The Heisei era Gameras were leaners, forward leaners, and the Showa Gameras were more upright. But they look cool together. Alright, I'll move on to some final thoughts on this set right now. Alright everybody, I'm back. Final thoughts on these. It's a great set to have. They scale well together. The two kaiju from the 1967 film, Gamera vs. Gyaos. I think this Gamera was originally released in 2014. And I think Gyaos in 2016, I think. I went to Kaiju Addicts and looked that up. Thank John Stanowski for that. But I'm pretty sure that was the dates, if I remember correctly, looking up the information. Because I couldn't quite remember the Ricks on these. And then I figured out they were both light-ups. That's what I wanted to know, because these are standards. I wish they'd have... I don't know what else they could have done for a Rick on these, but other than maybe a closed mouth for Gamera. I don't know, or a miniature flying form for Gyaos. I don't know, it would have been really, but I guess it'd be cool to have a Rick light up of I think it was Gamera's eyes that lit up, and I think Gyaos' eyes lit up, and I think the red spot on his head lit up, but I'm not 100% for sure on that. But these are a really nice set. They go good together. I'm glad X Plus put this set out. This is a movie setup, completes the movie, so I highly recommend these. They're both nicely done by X Plus. Bravo to them. Details are all over these things, and they're movie accurate details too, so which is always a good thing. Accurate to the suit. That's what X Plus is known for. Alrighty, I will bring the camera closer for a close-up of these two. I want to thank everyone for their time and watching and tuning in. And this is Phil, the Kaiju King, from my collection room here in Greater Cincinnati. And me and Gyaos and Gamera say you all have a wonderful day.